Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dorset Street in Colombo. And joining Bandula Jasek and
morning.
myself. Good morning, Bandula. Looking resplendent in white.
Spoil.
Indeed, indeed. Joining us this morning is Mr. Basil Fernando, Director of the Asian Human Rights Commission. Good morning,
Good
Mr.
morning.
Fernando, and
Good morning.
thank you for being on our program. And welcome to Newsline. I thought I'd ask you this question.
Yeah.
What do we need to establish the rule of law in any democracy? In Sri Lanka, what do we need?
See, the very simple principle about the beginning point is take steps to avoid any possibility of illegal arrest. Around that, you have the whole principle developed into the rule of law. Now, this is not my telling you. In 1861 already,
Yeah,
the person who coined the word rule of law,
yeah,
A.V. Dicey, wrote, the British authority wrote a book on what has been established in England as the law of the time.
right.
It begins like this, that in our country, he's telling, now,
Yeah,
this is the practice. In our country, arrest is a crime. Arrest is a crime. Only two exceptional occasions, the government, the state is authorized to arrest. That there is a credible suspicion of a person having committed a crime, and for the purpose of investigation, he can be arrested when there is a credible evidence. Or when the court has given a punishment, now he is to be imprisoned. Now these are the only two occasions on which a state has a right of arrest. Now, this is not only this. Now we have, our magistrates have developed that suppose somebody breaks this law,
Yeah.
that means a policeman or somebody breaks this law.
Yeah.
We are obliged, we magistrates are obliged to do two things. One, we have to compensate, we have to make order for compensation
Right.
for the victim affected. Second, we must punish as on a criminal offence for engaging in illegal arrest. We must punish the person who did it. This is a foundation of our law. See, rule of law is not some sentimental concept.
Yeah.
It is safeguarding your liberty.
Right.
It has become a slogan now, rule
Yeah.
of law.
Rule of law is very, very, very simple procedure. These things were not begin with philosophy or slogans. They began with practices by which, against the king of the time, the courts, the common law judge in England found ways to say, this is where you stop. Your power stops at one point. Anybody is told, who is exercising an authority. Now, a government, whether it's a top level government, like the president, or the most bottom level person who is exercising the power, he is being given an authority. They are all people like us. They are all ordinary people. But they are vested with an authority and say, you can do this.
But in Sri Lanka, the rule of law is applied only to ordinary people, not to these people who have committed all these other crimes.
So that is where the problems are. But we have to begin by, where we had a certain degree of the rule of law before 1971 period. Normally, ASP will supervise if something is done by the office. There are so many rules where ASP's duties. He must go to the police station under him. There are 2-3 police stations. Every week he has to go there. He has to see how the cell is like, where the people are kept, how clean it is. he must see whether there's a supervising officer for this. You know, a cell must have a supervising officer 24 hours. They must say somebody wants water, somebody falls sick. Immediately those people have to be attended. Like this, there's a huge number of duties of the immediate superior officer. See, where I think the Sri Lankan system mostly failed was we have now forgotten the role of the hierarchy of the police. We always blame on the small guy. Correctly, small guy does a wrong, doesn't excuse him because he's small. But who has the immediate duty to take action? So today, there is a crisis on the main area by which we protect individual rights. That is illegal arrest, illegal detention, and illegal killings.
Now, Mr. Fernando, can I just roll back slightly and ask you, what are the institutions or departments or agencies or whatever, what does a country need to establish this rule of law, to maintain this rule of law? What institutions do we need?
See, basically the three institutions which has to function on this particular area is the policing service, which is a vital service. It's not a secondary, some kind of a,
it's not an afterthought.
Yeah, this is the basic level protection of the, it is there to protect.
So we need the police.
The police, the prosecution department,
so the
Attorney General's department for properly functioning, and the judiciary playing their supervisory role.
Right. So but then we already have this in this country.
But the problem is, that is where the problems have been created at all three levels.
So then do we need a bribery commission? Do we need
bribery? It's an extension of policing.
Right.
FCID?
Policing, but another CID is an extension of the policing concept.
And FCID?
And the FCID.
All these are
all
extensions of the same policing concept. But I tell you, in Sri Lanka, one of the major problems for failure.
Yeah.
Do you know that out of 80,000 is the police force. 29,000 were people who were recruited in 2006 as reserve police officers for political reasons. And these are people who cannot do, read and write properly, even to do.
You mean their literacy level is a bit down?
Very, very low. They didn't go through the normal 1-year training program that all police officers have to go through at the beginning. They didn't go through a certain level of recruitment process that exists. Just brought in. And little by little, they came into various positions. They began as, a foot soldier.
Thugs and gundas were recruited to the police force.
But then, the important thing is now, see, 29,000 of 80,000 is almost 1/3, no? 1/3 are being assimilated. Now they are gone into various positions. Maybe sub-inspector to sub.
So they are entrenched in the system.
Entrenched in the system, and there is no way today to get them out. Even you realize these people can't do this job. They are not qualified to do the job. See, what is the first principle of administration? You select the person who can do it.
It's shocking.
This is
it's absolutely shocking.
This is actual situation.
Ground reality.
Ground reality. So we are saying, see, what is you asked me what was the rule of law.
Yeah.
See, the basic principle of rule of law is this, that a person who has been given a duty should not do more than the duty. Second principle, he must do the duty he must be given, otherwise he is punished. He can be dismissed. Two double principle.
Right.
On the one hand, don't exceed.
Yeah.
Then you are doing something wrong.
You can't act out of
But you cannot say that I omission.
Right.
Both. If this is all the rule of law is about. If the people who have various authorities functioning, just now when you are given a letter of appointment, you are given a duty.
Yeah.
So do your duty. Don't do more than your duty.
Right.
If you observe these two principles, you have the rule of law.
Basil, it's a very interesting question for us I got from a viewer. Now we know the senior DIG SM Vikramasinghe, Pujit Jayasundara, we have our respect, but this viewer has a question. Now since the new IGP has taken over, his question is, if one is acceptable to be in charge of the head of state's security, who is also the defense minister and also made acting IGP, how come he is not suitable to be IGP? It's an interesting question from a viewer. What have you got to say to this?
See, the question is the details about a particular individual. Without seeing that, I cannot comment.
Yeah.
But the principle is this: whether he is qualified or not doesn't depend on the post he holds. A rogue can hold a particular post.
Yeah. As we saw in, sorry to interject, but thought I'd make the point. As we saw, Bandula, when President Kumaratunga had various dodgy people in her security detail, ostensibly via the police.
And where the Sunday leader clash, I remember
the leader, editor, the late Lasantha Vikramatunga was attacked by those people. And astonishingly, it's a little known story, but those two people who were instrumental in attacking him and his then wife came to see Lasantha and apologized to him and said that they were merely carrying out instructions. So Lasantha went up to see his brother, who was the chairman, and had a little consultation with him and said, Daya, what shall I do? And he said, well, you know, it's you who got attacked, it's your decision. Lasantha came down to his office and told these two that he's forgiven them and that they can go. The matter ended there.
But same thing for us when during President Kumaratunga's time, when Rukanta, Gunatilaka and Chandralekha was attacked.
Yeah.
Then I think those PS, they were sentenced, and then I think they were pardoned later. Those PSD people, you remember that case?
See, the principle is mere fact that you have held some office does not give the, your certificate that you are fit to hold the office. So you cannot argue, well, if he is given even another office, what is wrong?
Indeed.
That's an absurd position. Question is, if maybe that he should not have held the earlier post also. So that is not the issue. You look at his record, see whether any other person who would have this record would be suitable for that job. If so, then same principle, equality before law.
Senior, you don't have to bother about seniority. If it's good, give him the position.
Give him the position. Seniority is also one consideration, because seniority means experience in the process. That's also one element. It is only one element. So the question is, it's only one element. There are many issues. For example, in a number of developed countries today, they don't invariably follow the seniority rule. Very often it happens a senior person gets it because he is also qualified. But suppose you find other people who have found that some of these people are now obsolete, and there are better people who have come. So what do you want? You want the system to function, to do the functions that they are supposed to do, to benefit the people.
Now, Mr. Fernando, consequences of letting criminal justice system perish. 1.3, threat to liberty by the manipulation of arrest. I want to stop you just there and pose you this question. In the recent weeks, thanks to this Panamanian company called Mossack Fonseca, no relationship to the Fonsecas of Sri Lanka, thanks to their revelations, the British press had a field day. They were highly critical, some of the sections of that press, highly critical of the British Prime Minister, David Cameron, and his father, and so on. Now, I haven't read anywhere that those journalists and those editors were subject to questioning, inspired questioning by the British police or by some other agency connected to the police. None of that has happened. Mr. Cameron made his explanations, Mr. Cameron apologized for whatever, and you know, it went on. But does that kind of system, in your assessment, in your role as the director of the Asian Human Rights Commission, in your assessment, do we have that kind of ambience prevalent in this country?
This country, you know, even the level to which it existed was lost after the whole period, beginning from 71, continuing up to today. Say, there is what you said now regarding what happens in England, is that the Prime Minister got examined.
Yeah.
So at the moment, the legal authorities of the country is looking into whether he did a wrong.
Correct.
So if any action will be taken, it will be against him. Suppose they try to take any action against the journalist for a legitimate work he had done, he would be many more times in trouble.
Yeah.
The public, because it's the public who is protecting the right of journalists to do the legitimate work of investigative journalism. It is a vital function of society. And this became possible from the rule of law. The law said anybody can do everything other than breaking the law. That's the only limit.
Yeah.
The freedom means, liberty means that's all. You can do anything other than you break a law. At the point of breaking the law, you have damaged your own freedom.
Right.
Then you face the consequence.
Right.
That's all. The only limit. And that is the perspective from which we have to look at it. You cannot trample with the freedom on one area or the other and say that then we are going to protect the freedom. What is the Prime Minister for? What is the President for? What is the senior policeman for or junior policeman for? Protect our freedoms.
But for us, very interesting. Now here the Deputy Media Minister says, from today's side, electronic media to be regulated, freedom of the wireless cannot be permitted. How can he say that?
What is a wireless? Wireless is only a person who breaks the written proclaimed law. Somebody cannot create wirelesses.
Not somebody
you cannot imagine. You cannot create wirelesses by imagination.
That's what they are trying to do.
Yeah. See, the using words and like that creating a program. But I'll tell you a shocking story. Actually, it is even, I have not heard this kind of story. You have heard about this, the famous character Kondia. Sevan the case, the girls, this thing.
Yeah.
Now, they arrested, publicized, he did all this. Then, it came out, his DNA didn't fit into the situation, that he was released. He went and filed a fundamental rights case against the people who arrested him. Now what is happening? First thing was, newspaper articles are being put that there was some unnatural offense with an animal or something. A person like that was there. Right? Now already creating, but worse is this. In Gampaha, Minuangoda area, police went with loudspeakers from village to village, announcing that this Konda has now joined a criminal gang to abduct children. Please close all the doors in your house, also windows, even if there is heat, because this thing is going to this has happened. Now what do you think?
It's shocking.
What do you think is going to be the consequence? Either, this is a planning, indirect planning of a extrajudicial killing. Either the mob will kill him because they are children. If you create around an area that I have to keep all my windows and keep and all these things. The parallel is during the second insurrection of the JVP. There was this huge board in that Paligoda area, that this thing, that under the name of JVP, that the police, anybody who is opposing us, we are going to not only kill them but their families. And then the people were they were called. The policemen were said, you come and live in barracks. With that, we heightened the level of killings in that period, which went up to about official records around 30,000 disappearances. See, this is manipulation. Now we have got into a culture of manipulating the arrest process. You just create a pretext and then use publicity. That is very easy for if you are having a certain authority to give publicity very easily. Some higher up in can say even to the media, it's like this.
Or during a search operation, he tried to escape, so we shot him.
Yeah, shot him. See the what I have pointed out in a publication is this. See, we began with that principles of the British law, which we said, highly developed, because it came out of a political struggle against the king to establish parliament, establish the law. But then we shifted beginning with 1971, trying to so-called uprising of some small incident. We shifted to what is called the Cheka principle. Cheka principle is the Russian principle. We started in 1971 after the revolution. They said anybody who is not for us. Security authorities were given the power of arrest, power of detention, power of deciding on the life of a person, carrying out that executioner's task, and burial, all without records, without judicial intervention. We have damaged the judicial intervention for protection of people severe way in this country. That is what was done with the emergency regulations and all these things. We never have recovered. The duty, when those periods are gone, duty is as soon as possible bring the system back. So
do we need a PTA then now?
Is an agreed principle in all the people who examine this. We don't need it anymore, and the government itself. There is the idea of PTA arising. The international principle is this: that a government who suspends a certain freedoms, PTA laws and all that, are certain freedoms are suspended.
Yeah.
Normally, you must produce
the mechanism to suspend.
That's right. Yeah. Now that can be done according to the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights. This can be done only when a government officially declares that there is a situation of emergency in the country. Mm-hmm. It must be officially declared. Secondly, even then you can suspend only to the extent necessary.
So, it's been very interesting listening to this rule of law and its various connotations. So, in your role as Director of the Asian Human Rights Commission, what is your assessment of Sri Lanka today?
See,
what is your assessment?
Already in late 90s, in a report, which was, I was very much responsible for that report, we declared Sri Lanka is a country in which there is an exceptional collapse of rule of law.
That was in the 90s?
And that has
today
continued. That same system, because exceptional collapse means institutions that's supposed to work are prevented from working. People
will say, but we voted Mr. Rajapaksa out of government, and now we're 1.5 years into a new government. Yahapalane. So what is your assessment now? What's happened in the 1.5 years?
1.5 years, there is one area where there is a certain improvement in the sense of freedom of speech, freedom of movement.
We're having this discussion.
Yeah, there is discussion.
And we're not being stoned or playing more bombs.
Certainly, there's a huge development in terms of that terror atmosphere and the overwhelming presence of the Ministry of Defence, which uses intelligence services and others to surveillance on people. Now that has disappeared. So those are achievements, and these are big achievements. But the question is, the collapse of the institutions, problems that came in the institutions have not been addressed. For example, I told you, 29,000 of people out of one-third is. But second part is this, as I mentioned in an earlier interview also, we wrote a letter to the Minister of Finance telling him, without allocating funds for proper functioning of the basic institutions, the police, prosecution and judiciary, they will not be able to carry out their functions. So please allocate funds. It's not there. See, we are making a mockery of a system. Say you are a rape victim. First you have a difficulty in getting your things registered at the police station and all that. Then the Attorney General's Department will take 1 or 2 or more years before filing an indictment. And then a case to finish, in one case we worked, went 15 years. What is the use of that? The whole idea is deterrence. See, the people must see crime happened, state reacted, brought the man into this thing, and after a proper trial, actually when it was established this is the guy who did it, he's punished. So then the people think, okay, if I do it, it also happened to me. What is the impression now is, if I do it, maybe 15 years later they may catch it, but between 15 years I can find so many ways to. So you get a situation where these are basics. Basics is there has to be a deterrence against crime. No society can survive, particularly modern society, with the crime can be so sophisticated. The people cannot survive without creating an atmosphere where everybody knows you can do everything else but not commit a crime. You commit a crime, we catch you. That's the principle. Deterrence means that the state creates that impression. Not that they should be given heavy punishments. That is also not necessary. But they are punished, and they are punished within a period. Now I was talking recently to a forensic expert in Sri Lanka who has worked in London. Now he has done their autopsies and all these things. He says within 2 years all these cases are finished. 2 years. We have autopsies for serious murder cases and things like that. Within 2 years the whole thing is over. Now in place like Hong Kong, now they are doing it within 1 year. How many years we take? So you see, we are not making the problem with the change is that still, even at a policy level, we are not declared we are going to resurrect our policing system in this way. Have more efficient people, immediately people who are capable of acting, bringing them to a standard that that is a normal standard today. We have not declared even a policy. So if you are not a policy, without a policy, we can expect within 1 year something will happen. First there should be a discussion. Government has declared a policy. How they are going to improve the policing system?
And how can they do it? Because they are corrupt. Most of these politicians are corrupt. They need thugs and all these gundas for their protection, for their work.
So
that's the biggest problem.
Then the question is that we are admitting there is no change in that area. The issue is we came with the good governance principle. Where is good governance without rule of law? So you have committed yourself to a overall broad slogan. How to transfer slogans into policies into financial arrangements, and that into get it done. And these are things that can be done within very short times. It is not only necessary for security of people. It is absolutely essential for the security of a small businessman. See, why is it that we have not seen small businesses growing? People can't do it. Local thug will come and demand. Competitor will come and say, I will kill you if you start another shop here. The policeman will begin to ask for bribes. So people abandon. So what is happening? Everybody is getting a 3-wheeler. You know how many 3-wheelers are there in this country? 1 million. Because that's the only kind of a secure, you have a small 3-wheeler,
where you will be free from interference and
that's
so
right.
on.
So the question is, you have to create a now we are saying, we are going to lift up this economy. For locally, there are people who can put money into some small trades. A lot of people have gone abroad, they have something to save. These are the kind of people who come and start something. You go to Philippines and you see huge amount of small businesses started by people who went abroad.
Unfortunately, I'm sorry to have to interrupt you, but unfortunately we've come to the end of this very interesting half an hour. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, Mr. Fernando, and we look forward to welcoming you on our network another time, another place. Thank you very much for being on Newsline.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bandula, and thank you for having watched Newsline. We wish you a very happy Poya Day, a serene one. Take care and God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.